Hey everybody, welcome back to JOECMDRAWZ. This time I've got a new video for you. This time I designed some new Pokeballs. Okay, so you saw a brief glimpse of the final kind of like Pokeball designs there. But on this page I just want to take you back to the actual initial sketches and kind of like concept I came up with before I actually moved into pixel art. So you can see here, this is actually the precursor to the Drake Ball. Because I wrote down a bunch of ideas for different Pokeballs, and one of my ideas was I would wanted to create a ball called the Drake Ball, and basically this will give you an increased chance to catch Dragon-type Pokemon, because I know Pokemon like Dratini and that are very difficult to catch. Um, so I wanted to design a Drake Ball. So you can see a bunch of these like initial sketches. Some are just like simple like this one where it has just like pointed ears, or this one where it has a little bit more like Charizard-ish kind of effects on there, like the ears, the little symbols on there. All these are very, very rough because I know I wasn't gonna like do these as an illustration. I wanted to do them as pixel art to challenge myself. Um, there's this one where it's got like lines on here, like Bagon's kind of like shell on there, but like little wings on there. Maybe I just took them off. There's some spikes on this one. There's a like a Dragonite horn on this one. And then I came up with this one, where it's kind of like a merge of a lot of all of them, except I added in all like these different like kind of teeth in here. And I think that's a really, really cool idea, especially look when it's like closed in this sketch here. I think that looks really, really, really cool. With the way that all the teeth kind of like mesh together like a jaw. I think that's really, really interesting. And then obviously you got the ears on top of there that maybe could be reminiscent of Charizard, like I said with this other one here. They could be taking as spikes or horns or whatever you really wanted to. And I think it's a really solid kind of like sketched idea out. It's really cool, kind of like almost Dragon's Maw looking ball. Kind of similar to Regidrago, the way that's kind of like that looks. That's the Drake Ball. These are just, like I said, initial sketches. Um, this one is the Wooden Ball, or the Wood Ball. These aren't really exactly the greatest sketches ever, but like I said, I wasn't really focused on getting a clean sketch because I knew it wasn't like going to be like painting, or I wasn't going to be like inking these drawings. I was just going to be doing them in pixel art. Um, so I just wanted to get the idea of my head and onto the page. And like I said, these aren't exactly that great, but it's just getting them out of your head onto the page. So I was thinking this kind of elegantly kind of like carved Pokeball out of like this really nice smooth kind of like wood on top, like maybe a dark bark or something. Some nice wood grain on top with some like maybe nice birch on the bottom. I think that'd be really nice. And I thought, well, what if it was all like interconnecting layers of like planks or something? You know how you see like planks on wooden floors, how they're all like kind of sort of like slid next to each other and interconnected. I thought that'd be a really cool effect if they were all like kind of like bent over each other, kind of like on this rounded ball form. So on this one's not so good. Thought maybe it could be a little bit more rough, but I do like this one where it's kind of like they're all like being rolled over and pushed over each other. Um, I think that's a really cool idea. So that's the wood ball. And then we have one of my favorite ones here, which is the Pika ball. As of course, with Pokemon, Pikachu's got to get everywhere. And I thought this would be a really fun, interesting ball that wouldn't really necessarily do anything, but it would be very interesting and aesthetically pleasing to look at. Um, so I call this one the Pika Ball, and I knew this one was going to be a little bit more difficult to do because of the ears that I wanted to get on there. So you just see these initial sketches. I thought, oh, well, it could just be sort of like the standard Pokeball shape with like Pikachu's red cheeks in there, his nose, and then you would have like the Pokeball thing in the middle. I thought, hang on, that looks a little bit like a mouth. So I did this second one here where I actually added the ears and you got the cheeks and you got the like little lightning bolt and the nose there. But I thought that's too similar to the Pokeball in the actual anime because if you remember, I don't know how many people remember this, but in the actual beginning of the Indigo League for Pokemon, when Ash meets Pikachu, Professor Oak actually has Pikachu in a special Pokeball that has a lightning bolt on it. And I didn't really just want to mimic that. I wanted to create a unique, specific Pikachu-themed Pokeball that wouldn't really have much to do with anything, but just be very aesthetically pleasing to have and to use. And so I thought, ooh, what if it had the ears, the cheeks, the nose, and then the mouth would, like, when you opened it, it would open up like that. So I created a back view as well, where obviously it has, like, the classic Pikachu kind of, like, stripes on there. I thought about having the tail on there, but Eh, it was just getting a bit too complicated, and a lot of these Pokeball designs are actually, where less is more, where they just have kind of like simple lines, or they just have like kind of like different color changes or something like that. Plus, I knew I wanted to design these in pixel art so I would have significantly less resolution to work with. So, and I didn't want to try and cram as much details in there as possible and lose the overall aesthetic or look of the ball. And obviously I created a open view there just to try and figure out, well, how would it work? How would it look like if, the ball was actually opened? And I thought, well, when the ball's open, the cheeks would be like these semicircles here. Um, so those are like my initial sketches for all of them. I did do a couple of initial sketches for some other ones, but didn't spend too much time on them. Like this one is like an initial sketch of the bubble ball, which would be kind of like a ball that would be kind of like reminiscent of bubbles. And I think I've got, yeah, this one's a really bad sketch, but it's basically just kind of like trying to get my idea of like maybe a ball that's being made out of mud and it's got like little grass tufts on there and there, and it's got like grass seeds and grass tufts just sprouting out the top of it. But like I said, all those are kind of ugly, and I didn't want to spend too much time on them. What I really wanted to show you was these. Now I'm really, really proud of these. Like honestly, um, doing pixel art, I love doing it, but it's very difficult. Like I love the aesthetic of pixel art, and I love how people can make some beautiful looking work with it. And I want to get to that stage at some point. And there are certain aspects of pixel art that I really dislike, like trying to do curves and rounded forms and spheres and stuff like that. And I thought, what better practice to do that than with Pokeballs? Um, so I looked up some references for Pokeballs that are in pixel art form specifically, and I found a couple of images of just these this like kind of red Pokeball that's in this three-quarter view, just to see what kind of like they did to make it look like a Pokeball. And I didn't like trace it or anything. I looked at like how many I kind of determined how many pixels they were using for the form of the actual like round form of the Pokeball, and then I kind of replicated it in my Photoshop file here. Um, and I created this red standard kind of like test Pokeball, which I think is really cool. Um, so it's just kind of like on this three-quarter angle. And I thought if I can do this properly, I can use this as a template for the rest of them. Obviously, it won't exactly be very easy, but I can kind of use that as sort of template to kind of like base all the other kind of Pokeballs off of. Um, so that's that one. So I created that mock-up one, which I think looks pretty cool. Um, so why don't I get on to all of these different balls? So obviously, like I said, I showed you earlier with the sketch of the Pika ball, but here is the Pika ball in its pixel art form, its front view and back view. I think it looks really, really nice. I think it's got that classic Pikachu kind of like look. Because when you're doing pixel art, you really want the colors to be bumped up like right up there, as it's going to be reviewed in such a small scale. I just want to quickly mention this is the actual Game Boy resolution that I'm using here. So stuff for like I believe uh, like red and blue stuff like that. I think I've got the resolution for that. Just Google it if you don't know it. I can't remember off the top of my head right now, but that's not important. So I've got the Pokeball there. I think I've really captured what Pikachu looks like in a low resolution form and in a kind of like a Pokeball form. You got the ears here, like I showed earlier, the nose, the mouth that was open. That was actually quite a big challenge. Um, Getting them out there to look right in this low resolution was really difficult. I did use a Gen 5 sprite of Pikachu to make sure I got Pikachu's exact color scheme right, because that's what I really wanted. And then I've got this kind of like brownish colored outline for the ball, which looks really nice when you zoom out like this. It looks really nice. It's like it's got this soft kind of like thing on there, because if I did black, it'd be way too harsh, which is what I had for the ears here. These are actually like darkish, lightish grey, actually not black, which is interesting. I tried it with black, but it just didn't work that well. And then I've got like a mini highlight there just to show where the light's actually coming from on the ball. And I've got this back view. This was actually really fun to do. Trying to figure out how the ears were going to look in the back view is really difficult. Also, this kind of a curve on the back here, as I didn't have anything else that could go on the back. And like I said earlier, with the low resolution I'm working at, I didn't want to kind of like shove as much details in there as possible. So I just want to limit it to which ones I wanted to show. And I think the Pika ball looks really cool from the back. I've actually got two tones, two shades here um, of the brown. I've got this lighter brown here on this side, and then this darker brown on there. I think that looks really good when you zoom out like that. And you obviously got the brown outline for the ball and then the grey for the ears. I think that looks really, really good. I would definitely want to use the Pika ball. So why don't I actually tell you the description for the Pika ball that I came up with? The Pika ball. This unusual Pokeball has a very obvious likeness to the Pokemon Pikachu. Its bright yellow coloring is immediately recognizable, as well as its pointed ears. This particular ball was built by an especially enthusiastic Pikachu maniac. When used, a delightful "Pika" sound is heard emanating from this ball. It has no additional effects or uses, it is purely aesthetic. So I think that's pretty cool. I think that's a pretty cool piece of lore, like this really weird kind of like Pikachu obsessed maniac loved Pikachu so much he actually crafted and created a ball specifically, because he loves Pikachu or he or she loves Pikachu so much, you know. And I think I've done a pretty good job of trying to capture the essence of Pikachu in a Pokeball form in, this kind of low resolution. So that's the Pika ball. Next down here is the wood or wooden ball. Now, as you see in those early sketches, I kind of wanted like this kind of like layered plank look to it, and I think I've kind of achieved it on this one. Got like all these kind of different shades of browns here, like light brown, kind of more reddish brown, very kind of like lightish yellowish brown, and then there's kind of like black in between. And when you zoom it it kind of has that kind of like wooded, kind of like layered effect on there. I don't know, maybe it's just me, maybe I'm just biased because it's my work, but I really love the way this looks. I think aesthetically it looks really, really nice. Um, and all the different kind of like browns and woodish kind of like color on there looks really, really cool. Um, I just like this idea. I do know in Legends of Arceus they showed kind of like a ye old Pokeball where it has that like wooden bottom, but I thought, what if it was a Pokeball that was actually entirely crafted from wood? So that's kind of like my idea going into this, and I think I've done a pretty cool job of this. It's got like this kind of like nice darkish bark on the top there, and then you've got this really kind of like polished, maybe it's like a birch on the bottom there that would be kind of like glued together, maybe with like a different band of wood that's kind of like wrapped around, and like a wooden kind of like button in the middle so you could actually open up the ball. I think that'd be really, really nice, and it'd be kind of like really polished on the bottom, but and on the top, and it'd kind of have that nice kind of sheen on it as well. But that's kind of like my design for the wooden ball. I didn't really do anything for the back of it because there really wouldn't be much point. It would just be kind of like the same thing except without the kind of like button on the front, if you can imagine that. So why don't I tell you the description for the wood ball or wooden ball? The wooden ball. It is a delicately carved Pokeball said to be crafted from discarded Trevenant bark. Its main surface is slightly sticky to the touch, as if it were coated in a resin or sap-like substance. The top half has multiple layers of interconnecting wooden planks cut to size. This ball increases the chances of capturing grass and tree-like Pokemon. So yeah, that's my idea for going into the wooden ball. It would kind of be crafted from kind of um, like discarded Trevenant wood that maybe that have been broken off from a battle or something, and then somebody's taken that and then kind of like delicately carved this like interconnected woven wooden ball. I think that'd be really cool. No other like additional effects would come out when you use the ball, but it just looked really cool anyway. And obviously, due to its nature, it would have an increased chance to catch grass and tree-like Pokemon. So Trevenant, Phantom, Snover, Abomasnow, Sudowoodo would be very cool because it's technically kind of like a tree. Um, but yeah, that's the wooden ball. The next ball I want to talk about is the bubble ball. I love the way this one came out. Like honestly, this is like one of my favorite one apart from the Pika ball because it's I had a really clear idea. If you remember in the sketches there, the really quick sketch I did of kind of like all these like bubbles surrounded by this one ball, and I think when you zoom out, it has that kind of like really weirdish kind of like bubbly effect on there, and that's what I wanted to get across. Um, it's got that kind of like nice blue, kind of like as if light's passing through the bubble kind of effect on there. And you've got all these like little bubbles that are coming off there as well. Some bigger ones, some medium ones, and then some really small ones there as well. I think that looks really, really cool. The colors I did use like some hue shifting to try and get the colors right because I was kind of like struggling with colors a lot on this one. But in the end, I think it turned out pretty cool. Um, Nothing much more to say about the bubble ball other than the fact that I just wanted to make a ball that would be, you know, perfect for water types, or kind of like just this kind of like really nice bubbly effect. Like maybe when you threw it out, to get this really nice smell of like maybe like kind of like fresh soap or something like that. I don't know. That's just my idea going into it. But I'll tell you the description for the bubble ball. The bubble ball. This particular ball was crafted to mimic the transparency of bubbles. It has a soapy-like texture on the surface of the ball, making it quite slippery when held. When used, delightful multicolored bubbles will spill out and pop. This ball has no additional effects or uses. It is purely aesthetic. Yes, it's more like half of these balls are just kind of like aesthetic balls, and some of them do actually have an increased, catch rate for certain Pokemon or stuff like that. But I do like the aesthetic ones just purely because I haven't seen anybody actually doing this, like taking an idea they have, like, and going, I'll just make my own Pokeballs, because everybody's seen Ultra Balls and Pokeballs and Great Balls and Dusk Balls and Luxury Balls and Love Balls and stuff like that. And I thought, I want to create some really unique kind of like Pokeballs, but not just create them and design them, but actually do them in kind of like pixel art that would actually make it really, really cool, because I haven't seen this at all. So the next one here is the Drake Ball. Now I wanted to do this one, if you remember in the sketch, it looks a little bit different here, and that's because I had to compromise, because I couldn't figure out how to kind of like do those interconnecting teeth while it was actually like closed in this pixel art form. And this is one of the many limitations of my limited knowledge of pixel art. I can't really exactly figure out everything, and I'm not exactly that great, but I love to do it, and I want to keep trying to force myself to kind of like do things I'm not particularly great at. And this is one of them, like I said earlier, curves and rounded forms, and trying to wrap my head around how to kind of figure out stuff like on an angle. Um, as I used that, like I said earlier, with that original Pokeball idea and used it for these ones here. But the Drake Ball here, I still kept kind of like that pointed ear look on there that I kind of like took from the Pikachu ball and then kind of used it on here. I think I kind of gotten it right. I don't know. I'm still not exactly very good at doing curves. It could definitely be improved, but I like the way it looks like. I love the colors. I love the kind of like stripes here I've got on there. The colors are really nice. I actually brought in a sprite of a Dragonite to actually get the kind of like orange and kind of a blue greeny kind of like color scheme on there. As I thought, well, the first like real dragon you get to see in the games is actually Dragonite. And I thought that's got a good, really distinct color palette that is very recognizable amongst kind of like all the dragons. So that's what I want to do on there. So it's just got kind of like these pointed ears, and I think, like I said earlier, less is more with these kind of like balls. Because let's be honest, not anyone's going to be really seriously looking at these for more than like a couple of seconds. Um, Other than maybe if they have some sort of like specific animation that they do or something, like with the Pika ball, like a little pixel Pika might actually come out with there and it would fade or something like that. I don't know. But the Drake ball I think looks really cool. So why don't I go ahead and tell you the description for the Drake ball. The Drake Ball. This Pokeball was developed to aid in the capture of the particularly elusive and extraordinary Dragon-type Pokemon. Its unmistakable orange and light greeny-blue coloring was modeled after Dragonite. The top portion of this ball has two protrusions resembling dragon horns. It has an enhanced catch rate for Dragon-type Pokemon only. So that's kind of like what my idea was going into this. I wanted a specific ball that would make it a lot easier for people to capture really difficult dragon type Pokemon. I know a lot of them, as they are very powerful, they have a really high catch rate, I believe. Or low catch rate, I can't remember which way around it is. Kind of like fix my answer in the comments if you want. But yeah, I think that looks really cool. I think I did a good job in that. So that's the Drake ball. And the final ball I want to do, I just wanted to do something funny. I just wanted to do something interesting and more kind of like more cosmetic rather than really practical, but really fun to just have. And that's the Earth Ball or the Terra Ball. And it's basically just kind of like a Pokeball that is kind of made of compacted like mud on the top here. And you can see I've got like little tufts of grass sprouting out from the top in there. Just something really fun and interesting to do. I've kind of like made it like it's this craggly, loosely held together mud with some, be kind of slightly wet as well. I think maybe some sort of like kid has made it. Like, oh, I'm going to make my own Pokeball before they can actually get their own Pokeballs. And they made this kind of like this earth ball, this mud ball. Um, so why don't I tell you the description for the mud or earth ball? The earth/terra ball. This ball was crafted by compacting slightly moist dirt into a ball-like shape, seemingly taken from local gardens. Small tufts of grass has begun to sprout on top of the ball. It has no practical use. So like I said, just like a really fun, interesting one that I wanted to kind of like chuck together. Just something really funny. So let me know what you think. Which kind of like Pokeball did you like the most? The Pika ball, the wooden ball, the bubble ball, the Drake ball, or the kind of slightly less useful mud ball or earth ball, shall I say? But yeah, if you did like this video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that cool jazz. Leave me suggestions for stuff I should do, for future videos in the comment section below. Um, all that kind of cool stuff. And I'll see you next time. Bye! Hey there, thanks for watching. If you like what you see, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share my work around. I'll see you next time.